How's it going, folks? How's it going? You already know the waves, and for sure, you already know the vibes. It is King Zachariah White back at it like it's nothing with this drip and the sauce, because I am the boss. Happy good day to every single one of y'all. Happy, terrific, and thankful Thursday. For a moment, I almost forgot what day it was. But nonetheless, again, I do thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, again, a lot of thanks going out to a whole bunch of different folks. God in the heavenly kingdom for us being here. Of course, you know, our amazing team, our kingdoms, businesses, and communities for them being as awesome as they are. And every single one of y'all for walking through in your guys' journey within life and doing it in the fashion that y'all do it. But as far as what we have for this go around, this is the first ever episode of The Royal World. All right. And of course, there's been a whole lot of crazy stuff going down in the world. We're going to talk about a couple of those things. I'm going to spend about the first 10 to maybe 25 minutes, no more than that, just talking about, honestly, I'll say it's a mental health checkup. Right. You know, that's something that's definitely needed, especially in today's world. We still got our jobs. We still are maintaining the whole work-life balance. And also, again, social media. There's a whole lot of stuff just out and about in the world. But we definitely need to make sure that, you know, our mind, our hearts, and even just our soul and spirit, everything is just sort of in the what's the right term? What should I say? I guess working in proper condition, right? Then after that, you know, for let's say from I guess minute 25 up until you know the end of that particular hour, what we're going to talk about the presidential elections, because that was something that's also very interesting that happened not too long ago, of course, for those who have not been sleeping under a rock, or I guess those who have that. And also, we'll be talking about what seems to be these different cases coming up against P. Diddy as well as Dirk. All in all, I do thank y'all so much for the love and support as always. Also, anything that we happen to talk about, I know that this is not necessarily a live show, but you're more than welcome to go through and comment your comments or comment your thoughts down below. Even if it's in response to something that I said, please go through, do your thing, man. I encourage all sorts of interaction. Let me know what y'all think. Enough with me doing all this bloviating or whichever. Let's go ahead and get straight to it. Y'all ride this wave with me one time for the one time, baby. Let's get it, man. Let's go. Yeah. King Big Daddy Drill. TIS. The Golden Empire. King of Southwest Florida. I'm a busy man, but I make time for you. I had a list of different questions, right, that, you know, of course, for us to go through and talk about. But I know one just off the top of my head that I can recall from. I believe the source that I got these questions from was, I believe, audio.fm, whichever. But all in all, big shout outs to all the different platforms that create a number of different interesting questions that need to be asked and need to be thought about by people. One of the questions that stood out to me was, how does one go through and actually navigate through all the different pressures, all the different stresses that go on within life? Because it is definitely not an easy thing. This particular question, I know me and my friends, we've talked about it a number of different occasions. I know that even though, of course, the Royal World, you know, this is essentially the first ever episode. There's been other different videos that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of where we talked about things of that similar sort. My answer to that question, and again, just to be clear, the overall question is, how does one navigate through the pressures, the stresses, all of what may happen to come with life? One of the key tips to keep in mind is definitely being able to reflect upon what has happened is a key thing. And I would also say finding the right outlets to express emotions, express thoughts, those are very, very important. And I'll even get a little bit personal. Part of the reason why this first section is going to be, again, us just talking about mental health, of course. It's something that I can speak to, something, whatever it is that I'm about to say, I've been putting it in practice. Right now, granted, y'all, I'm definitely not perfect, but nonetheless, though, I've been trying to keep this in mind. And I've also, me and my friends have been doing the same thing as well. Being able to express those emotions is definitely a key thing. As of lately, myself, my sister, aka, well, not aka, her real name's Samaya, but she does have other different monikers. The Queen of Darkness, that I call her, the Dark Knight of Southwest Florida. As of lately, we've been going through and we've been doing a number of different performances all over, not just Fort Myers here, but all over Southwest Florida. We've been to the Cava Bar downtown. We've been out to the Botanical Brewing out in Cape Coral. We just where were we just at yesterday? I think we was at the Cava Bar out in Fort Myers Beach. Just this past Saturday, I was out in Naples at the Nectar Lab. She was out in Winter Haven. Just before I even go through and say this, is not to say, guys, for every one of y'all out there watching that you need to go through and perform music. That's everybody's system is a little different, but nonetheless, though, finding those outlets is very, very important. Whether that be writing, whether that be reading, whether that be talking to another person, which I'm not gonna lie, talking to another person, I definitely recommend that. I don't even know if I'm in the position to recommend a therapist. Definitely find a trusted person to talk about these sort of things. But I know for me and my sister in particular, the musical performances have definitely been a huge help, because I'll say with the both of us, it appears as though the season that we happen to be within is loss, right? That's the title of this season. I told her, I was like, I don't find it a coincidence that life, especially this year, has definitely been hard, but things were a little bit better in the spring. Things were definitely better in the summer, and it's hitting the hardest in the fall. That's where I told her, I was like, I don't know. It's not too much of a coincidence, but I know that with her, we're talking a number of different deaths in the family. I know for me, also huge death within the family. Having to, and with the, I won't even say death. I'll just say more so like a transfer, because even though like our people, however it is that they may happen to pass away, is not necessarily one of those things where, like they're completely gone forever. It just means that they're up in heaven. Either way, still there's a transfer over of responsibilities, a transfer over of duties, just stuff to be done, down to whoever. And I know that she's definitely seen that on her part. She's having to step more into the role of the head of the family, over on her side. And for me, of course, I'm stepping into the head of the household, the head of the family over in my side. And that's definitely been, let's just say it's been one heck of an adjustment. Us going through, proceeding on our musical journey, there's a lot of different energies, and that's me putting it mildly, a lot of different energies that we're encountering. I don't know, a whole lot of opposition, right? And even though, guys, for everybody out there, I know I'm doing a whole lot of talking in terms of what I'm encountering or what she's encountering. And, for anybody that happens to struggle to see the comparisons, please, I'll say this, try to draw some comparisons between what it is that I'm talking about and what it is that you guys happen to be going through. Because even though it may be something, like if looking at the specific details, maybe something different, the overall general concept is more or less the same. Because there's so many different things outside of the moment that is causing stress, it is in a weird way makes us appreciate said moment that we have performing even more, because of the fact that to some degree it's a bit of an escape. And if it's going to be something that's an escape, we better make the most out of it. Right. And that's something that we ought to honestly need to be. That's a mindset that make the most out of it is something that we need to keep in mind, regardless of what it is that it happens to be. But, again, I've been doing a whole lot of talking about, again, finding your outlets. That's very, very huge. Me being biased, I do encourage that everybody go through and, check out your kava bars, go to your karaoke nights. You're going to have yourselves a lot of fun when you put yourselves in those, especially put yourselves in those uncomfortable situations, because, you end up growing, even in a number of different ways that you perhaps did not intend to or may not have perceived. If I did not mention drawing before, I'm mentioning drawing now. When it comes to finding those outlets, guys, you want to know a particular source is going to be very, very helpful. If you don't happen to have ideas like myself, Google. That's there's a better way to phrase that. Let's just say research, right? Just research some other ways that you can, express your thoughts, express your feelings. But I would also advise finding, if you guys do not have so already, finding. It does not have to be a whole select group. It does not have to be 10 people. It doesn't have to be 20. It doesn't have to be, it can really be one person. If you have a couple, that's even better. But I would definitely recommend having those people that you can talk to about anything. Right. Again, I know some folks that comes in the form of a therapist, other folks it comes in the form of their significant other folks it comes in the form of their best friend, their brother, their sister, all that other sort of jazz. That is something that is very, very important because, and this is something really, it's an observation. And when I make this observation, you guys may be like, okay, well, hey, King, that's sort of like that you're not saying anything new, but I look at life to some degree as a game, right? And folks, I know it's like popular for people to just say life is not a game. I don't think that they're thinking about that in the right way. Life is life is one heck of a game. The only thing is that there's so many different, it's a game of sub games, but also it's a high stakes game. It's a high risk game. I know that there's a number of different things in place to make it, to give off the impression that, it may not be this way, but everything that we do in life is a risk. Whenever you think of just a game, right? The main overall objective with the game is to win. Right. So being that is the objective, with winning, with winning something comes competitiveness. And I guess another thing that makes this life very complex is that in whatever it is that winning a game is, that's how should I say, that in and of itself is subjective. Winning in one person's eyes may be getting $100,000, making $100,000 every single year, whichever. Winning in another person's mind may be something completely different. But the fact of the matter is, it's a game. And not only that, there's 8 billion people on this planet. So there's 8 billion people playing this game, whether regardless of how they're playing it, they're playing the game. It's important to find those people that you can talk to, to essentially find your anchors, because just due to the nature of life, that sort of influences the nature of people, which essentially, breeds about this innately selfish, I don't know if it's a spirit, but let's just say selfish habits, selfish nature. The reason why anchors are very, very important is because there are not really a lot of people who are genuinely interested in hearing how your day's going, or knowing, what problems you're facing, or just let's just say wanting to know about you for the sake of knowing about you. Right. If a lot of times, even for folks that's, throwing out those questions, and me and my sister, we talk about it all the time. Of course they don't have to come out and say it, but we can even just see it in the way We could see it in their body. We could see it on their face. We could, and wherever it is, we can literally see they're asking a question, just because it's the nice thing to do, or like there's no genuine interest, or we can see it on somebody's face, on their whole body, like, oh, okay, no, like this person, like, no, there's a further reason behind why they're saying this or why they're doing that.
Court jester here, I think it's human energy.
Yes. Yes, human energy is a big thing. I think I may be deviating a little bit further from this question, which I know I've been talking a good bit a while. So after I finish my thought, we'll go through and talk about the presidential elections. But I'm going to talk about some more observations that I've made about the world. Matter of fact, I'm going to say this, observations that I made about Southwest Florida. And I'm glad that especially this being the first episode, I get to tell you guys this right now. I've been talking to many of my artist friends. And I talk to my artist friends because for whichever, I get the impression that they understand. They may not care, but if there's anybody who's going to understand what it is that I'm saying, is going to be them. There has been a mission that I have been on for several years now, but now it's starting to come to like full fruition. This mission that I have set out for Fort Myers, 239 Lee County, Southwest Florida, is to answer this question. What is the culture of Fort Myers? What is the culture of Southwest Florida? Once we find out what the current culture of our place is, then we're going to change it and improve it and make it better. In which, even before I go down this rabbit hole and tell y'all about Southwest Florida and what I've seen, so that you guys don't get lost and you guys don't, let's just say you guys don't find it valueless. This is something of importance, because in the same way how I'm thinking about Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, like, of course, that my home, my area, right? This is what matters to me. This is very important to me. But in the way how I'm about to break this down, it's the same way how you guys can also break down your inner world, right? Of course, because there's the world that encompasses everybody, but everybody has their own individual world. And to some degree, I'm sure that there's a number of different ways that things can be improved upon, right? Whether your world being just your neighborhood or your let's just say your family, your relationship with your significant other, whatever it is that it may happen to be. But one of the things, and just piggybacking off of a good point, a good point that my good sir Brian ended up mentioning, was human energy. Now, I've noticed for quite some time that human energy has been off, right? COVID really did a number on that. And it's crazy because COVID happened back in 2020. It's 2024, almost about to be 2025. We're still feeling the effects of it. If you guys want to do a social experiment, just try going up, talking to random people. Just go up, and you don't even have to talk about anything too much. You can just ask them how they're doing. You can just say hey or whichever. You will see on everybody's face the anti-socialness. You will see the, I hate to say lack of human decency, but I'm going to say lack of human decency.
Anxiety, Your Highness?
Yes. I was about to say anxiety. Perfect. I don't necessarily know if anybody is doing a whole lot of talking about it, but that is one of the more profound impacts from COVID. But the reason why I talk about Fort Myers and Southwest Florida, I'm not giving our community that excuse. COVID only amplified what was already here and what was already present, right? That anxiety, all too often when people talk about the culture here, whether they, in this exact words or not, they mention how it's crabs in a bucket. And to some degree, it is. Again, I won't even go through reiterating all the same stuff. But one of the things that really, really upset me about our people here, the lack of proudness and where it is that we happen to come from. Everybody is so focused on trying to go to the side of the greener grass as opposed to getting the water, getting the fertilizer, doing the work to actually make this side better. And what they don't know is that whenever it is that they happen to get to the opposing side, it doesn't solve anything because y'all still don't have the skills to maintain the garden. whenever it is that I've asked a whole bunch of people this question, I've gotten a lot of vague answers. I've gotten a lot of it's a melting pot. I've gotten a lot of, a whole bunch of different niches. You just have to find your spot, this and that, blase, blase. I've even gotten a whole lot of there's a culture, but when I followed up with that question, no one can actually tell me what that culture is. The culture that I've seen so far within here, Southwest Florida, not exempt in Fort Myers, is there's just fear. There's fear. There's lack. There's not an overabundance. There's not good faith. And there are exceptions because there's a lot of different, there's a lot of different entities and good people here. It's just that, like I said, people are just veering off to the crabs in the bucket. I'm just within my shell, within my bubble, sort of kind of, I guess, way of doing things. And I know that one of my missions, of course, is to bring about diversity, to make things a little bit more open to where folks are not afraid to express themselves. Folks are not afraid to. Now, it's not to say that folks should just go out and do, just do a whole bunch of wild stuff. That's not what I'm saying. Just as Brian ended up mentioning, not letting the anxiety lead everybody's decision, not letting the fact that, because there's so many bad people out here, now I have to move a certain type of way. No, like the good faith, the everything that's good within us, let that lead us. Let that be what we, come into every situation with. And if we, of course, there's different adjustments that we have to make because of, the negative stuff that may happen. But again, guys, for whatever it is that's negative, and I guess that'll also go back to the question, going back to reflecting, please, whatever negative stuff that happens to be present in the situation, do not let that lead you guys. All right. Because otherwise it's going to be one hell of a bumpy roller coaster, man. It's going to be all over the place. But again, done a whole lot of talking. That'll be the last thing that I do on that particular question. Now, of course, we have the next topic, right, which is the U.S. presidential elections, in which, for anybody that does not happen or has not been paying attention, in which I find it a little bit hard, because if you have not been paying attention, your friend probably has, or your mom has, or your family members, somebody nearby you has been paying attention. What I could tell you guys off rip is that President Trump has done it again. He is president once more. And I know that there is a lot of, just amongst the United States, I would imagine amongst the entire world, but within the U.S., there's a lot of mixed feelings. All right. And even as you can see right there, President Trump, how should I say, are they calling this a decisive victory? It sort of kind of looks decisive because Trump only needed, or just regard whether it be Trump or Kamala, they only needed 270. Wow, that's also very funny as well, 270. So I wonder how many folks are in the Electoral College. That's another interesting question. But nonetheless, though, Trump only needed 270 folks from the Electoral College. He's got 295. And even looking at this particular graphic right here, yeah. Man, that's very, very telling, guys. And I'll say my reactions. I talked with our awesome crew before we actually started the episode. I guess to some degree, I am surprised. Surprised in the sense that society has always been weird, but especially into today's point in time, society is very, very weird. And I would have thought that just looking at that particular visual, I can't even, I'm gonna just go through and try to count how many blue states, because there's an overwhelming amount of red states. For the most part, I'm not gonna lie, Trump got geez.
It's like 18 blue states.
18 blue states, which if you're doing the math, 50 minus 18, geez. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's 32, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's just say, even just looking at this visually, I'm not surprised that Trump won, but I sort of thought that it would be a little bit closer. When I say this, of course, I'll be very, very careful how I phrase it. I don't want for what I'm thinking to be taken the wrong way. Like with the society that we're in right now, there's definitely been a huge push, a huge shift when it comes to to female empowerment, right? And definitely, I personally don't have anything against it. Even for the stats that we happen to see, there still was a lot of folks. But the 18 to 32, I thought that number would have been a little bit closer, right? Like maybe both of those numbers being in the 20s. That's what I envisioned it. But I also think that part of the reason why the numbers looked the way that they did was because of the fact that even despite the whatever may happen to be the social push, but when it comes to the economy, that is definitely a key point of interest, and everybody has noticed. If nothing else, everybody's wallets have felt the increase in the prices of everything, whether it be groceries, whether it be gas, whether it be housing, whatever it is. I know, again, I'm doing a whole lot of talking in terms of what it is that that I and thinking my reactions. You guys also feel free to put it down in the comment section below. I'll even go through and do a good bit of talking in terms of what it is that I've seen. Folks, I didn't even know was like, pro Democrat or, just rooting for Vice President Harris. There's been a lot of posts that I've seen about, yesterday was a sad day in American history. Essentially reiterating the like some of the same things that Kamala was saying in her particular speech about, of course, how, what happened ended up happening, but nonetheless, though, still being hopeful for the future. I know that there's also been, a lot of folks that I've seen that I did not necessarily know was pro-Republican or pro-Trump. How many months ago was it? It was something a months ago where Trump was getting hit with all these different charges about what was supposed to have gone down, during his last presidency, and he was able to go through and still win this particular presidency, even though I know that the immediate reaction is definitely going to be present for the first couple of days. There's a number of different things to like think about that. I don't mean to say a comeback story, but a person that was getting hit with all these different charges, I'm still struggling to find the words. I'm still struggling to really fully develop my thoughts. And I know enough to know that it is something to think about, right? And if nothing else, I may not be able to give you guys the full articulation when it comes to what it is that I'm thinking. If nothing else, right? Just keeping in mind all of the, the bankruptcies, keeping in mind all the different scandals, keeping in mind, like, what I want for you guys to also think about is think about the branding. Keep that in mind, because to some degree, if you pay attention to some of these posts on social media, not to say that Trump is a martyr, but there's definitely a different light that's being placed on him. And by no means, those assassination attempts I pray that those were merely attempts and those were not successful.
Your Highness, I was wondering, do you think that the redemption of Donald Trump is because of a rejection by the right of cancel culture, and that this is their secret war against cancel culture by bringing him back?
My answer is yes to that. I'm just trying to find out. I didn't want for the answer to the question to be yes, and then me just either say nothing or say a whole lot of but no. I do think that this is a response to cancel culture. We were talking about this beforehand, how it seemed as though for whatever wave, whatever push, whatever new thing that the liberal side was trying to push for, it got to a point where it became an extreme. Everybody knows the common saying, fighting fire with fire. So, of course, we have that. Evidence to support the answer to the question being yes, it's got to be, it really lies in this fact, right? Because that particular consideration that was brought out about the Republican side, or let's just say the conservative side, push like just their fight in the war against cancel culture. Like, I think that is really much supported by the fact that, again, when we're talking about the difference, we're talking 18 to 32. We're not talking 26 to 24 or 28 to 22. If this was a football game, let me see. I'm trying to do a little bit of math. I know definitely in order for the opposing team to win, that's a couple of touchdowns that they're going to have to get. I don't necessarily know how many folks are going to come out and actually say this. So that, there's at least something to actually speak to this. But I think that even for the folks who are, we talked about this too. Like, even for the folks who are on the liberal side, there's a lot more people on that side that, like, it's one of those things where the Republican offered a lot of heavy resistance, but even on the, like, from whoever it is that happened to make up the liberal side, like, there's internal conflict, or let's just, not to say that there was a betrayal, but there was definitely some folks who were like, yeah, there's something off about this whole thing. Again, looking at those numbers, get the impression that strong fight, and some people are just like, what, forget this. I'm moving over to here because this is not the way, this may, like, there was an overall goal behind this, but also at the same time too, we were shooting past our mark, and it ultimately, whatever the movement was, it lost its meaning over time. I know that I wanted for you guys to keep in mind the rebranding. I think honestly, whatever other different things I wanted to mention, we probably just talked about within that particular question. This will be the last thing that I'll say on this particular topic. And the last thing that we'll get to is for today's episode is going to be the trial, or in which I'll be outright, honest, guys, because I did a little bit of research on the trial, or what's going down with P. Diddy, but not enough to know too much of the specifics. There's something that I'm about to mention right now that is going to bleed over into what it is that we're going to talk about with P. Diddy. I'm also keeping in mind all of those allegations. Or not allegation, just the trial that Trump went through, and just the fact that he still finds himself in the position where he's president, right?
Where he's being supported, yeah.
Yeah. And also, guys, just so you guys happen to know, and you guys are more than welcome to ask this question, but I don't have a dog in this fight. For what it is that I've seen, I've got so turned off from politics that the king has been focusing on what we have going down. So yeah, I don't really have a dog in this fight. But nonetheless, though, there may be something to be said about how fickle people are, in the fact that we're talking about a gentleman who, said, grab her by the, I ain't going to say that. I'm not going to say that, y'all. I'm not going to say that. But the gentleman did that. Gentleman went through and everything. But nonetheless, he still finds himself in this position. The reason why I'm struggling to even articulate my thoughts about this is because I'm thinking about the court of public opinion. There has been a number of different people who have been given a lot of chances, have been given grace, have been given leeway, and there's been a lot of people who have been stoned. There's a lot of people who have been given grace and leeway who deserved it. There's been a lot of people who have been given grace and leeway who probably did not deserve it. There's been a lot of people who have been stoned who deserved it, and there's a lot of people who have been stoned who probably did not deserve it. That is what I want you guys to keep in mind. In the midst of all these different emotions, please do not get swept up in the sea. Please take a step back to actually evaluate the full horizon. evaluate, just take a look at everything, all right? Because everything may not be exactly how it seems. And I took a roundabout way in actually saying that. But thank y'all for tuning in with me. The last thing that we'll talk about is the case with P. Diddy. I am going to say this to you guys as well. I know I definitely so far have not done that good of a job in citing my sources. So for the everything that we were talking about, I believe with the presidential election, we all the stats that we put up on the air, which by the way, big shout outs to Brian. Again, awesome. You know what? Thank you. But yes.
Yeah.
I believe the source that we pulled all that information from was New York Times. You guys, like, as I've encouraged you guys to go through and, like, again, take a step back, see everything from the horizon. Go check this out. Go check out other different sources. And I'm not saying that you have to do like a deep dive as if this is going to be a 20-page paper, whichever. But please get your own, like, have your own encounter with the facts, with the statistics, so that even for eyes such myself, there may be something that even like I've been struggling to find enough of the words to articulate my thoughts. I don't care if it's myself. I don't care if it's any other podcast. I don't care if it's somebody up on television. You guys need to go through and check this stuff out yourself, because everything is not going to be caught and captured in the words, in the videos, in the podcasts, in the stuff that you see. So you need to get your own eyes and come to your own understanding of these things. Big shout outs to the Department of Justice. That feels also weird. Big shout outs to the Department of Justice. But I'm gonna still say it though. Big shout outs to the Department of Justice. They're the ones who we ended up grabbing this information on the P. Diddy case, or let's just say trials, because I've been educated on the fact that there's multiple different stuff. And also even for Lil Durk, which we'll talk about that come next time, that also has been pulled from the Department of Justice. But this right here, I'm going to go through and put this in full screen. There is a lot. I hope I didn't misread this, but I definitely know that he got arrested in Miami, and I also know that that Dirk also got arrested in Miami too. To read off just a little bit, and again, I do encourage you guys to go through and read this yourselves. I'll read the quote from attorney Damian Williams. All right. What it mentions is U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said, as alleged in the indictment for years, Sean Combs used the business empire he controlled to sexually abuse and exploit women, as well as to commit other acts of violence and obstruction of justice. Today, he is charged with racketeering and sex trafficking offenses. If you have been a victim of Combs' alleged abuse, or if you know anything about his alleged abuse, we urge you to come forward. This investigation is far from over. And even as you can see the heading up top, or not I guess the subheading, alleged conduct occurred more than a decade in multiple states. That's is quite a good bit. Even before, I guess, whenever it is that things like this happen, my take and my stance on this is always the same, and I do apologize to you guys in advance if, let's just say, I'm repeating the same things over and over again. But if there's anything that I want to say, is this. Of course, go through, do your own research. But I will say, don't be so quick to judgment. Please refrain. I know there's going to be a lot of folks that go through and send their posts and send their tweets and make their videos about everything. If something like this has been going, that they've got enough evidence for a decade over multiple states, there's got to be something in there. All right. But what I want to encourage you guys, and I want to encourage all of the public to do, and I know folks are going to have their opinions, at least I'll just say relax, because going back to what I had mentioned about, again, what I mentioned about public opinion, there's been a lot of times where allegations and stuff have been brought upon many different celebrities, right? There's been times where folks have done it, and when they came back after they served their time or whatever, if they did, the public accepted them back. Again, if my good sir, if you happen to see this, this is not a shot against you. I'll say an example who I'm thinking about would be Chris Brown, right? A while back, the whole situation when it came to him and when it came to Rihanna. All right. Of course, the domestic, violence ended up going down. The reason why my mind goes to him as an example is because I was young when that happened. All right. So I know that, he ended up getting some backlash for it. What I do know is that the time in which it wasn't that much time that ended up passing by, but I'm talking around the time that I was a teenager and all the way up until this point, there's so much acceptance that you don't even that doesn't even get brought up anymore. I guess what I'm trying to illustrate to you guys is as we look at different examples in terms of the amount of support or the amount of disdain or disrespect or whichever that's shown, there are examples where folks have done some heinous things, some terrible things, right? But because they made these few songs or these few movies or these they were so awesome on the football field or so awesome on this particular thing, maybe it may have been a different case when it comes to the justice system. But as far as us come as a community, as a larger community, folks have gotten a pass, right? There have been folks who have went through and have been accused of heinous things or whatever that have not done, or let's just say in hindsight, they did not end up doing those things. But nonetheless, though, maybe it just comes back to the fact of, I guess, how much people value what they did. Folks wrote said person or wrote said selection of people off in terms of their reaction, in terms of how they treated said celebrity or said person. It doesn't even have anything to do with the said situation. It's having to do with all the stuff outside of the situation. It's having to do with how much money they have, how attractive they are. It's having to do with how well received, how awesome, how many classics that this person put on and this and that. And not to say that you can't have thoughts or not have feelings, but at least hold off, because for whatever reason, all this data, all this stuff that's coming out, let's say it comes out that Diddy actually had no hand in this whatsoever. Right. All this evidence that the Department of Justice, said that they have. Right. What if it comes out that the end verdict being that, oh, yeah, well, actually, P. Diddy didn't do anything, or all the stuff that he's been accused of really didn't happen. Now you have all these different celebrities, all these different people who went through and threw a whole lot of dirt on this particular gentleman, essentially trying to ride a wave. If you're going to ride a wave, if you're going to go through and do something, at least do it off of facts. At least do it off of what it is that not necessarily because, not necessarily because of how you're feeling or because of the fact that you didn't like this song that they put out, or you just don't like them in general, or because said celebrity that you really like said this about this person. So now you're going to take that as gospel and run with it. That's what I'm cautioning all of you guys to at least hold back on. Though, again, guys, I don't want y'all to go and kill me in the comment section or whichever. If they got all this thing, a decade of evidence in multiple states, Diddy did something. Mm-hmm. Diddy has done something. All right. And not only that, it really does seem like Diddy and other higher executive, whoever up in his business enterprise, they have done something. So I do think that something's going to come to light. Something's going to come to light. I just don't want for y'all to go through and get too crazy. And I say y'all, I keep saying y'all. Let me use different words. For you guys watching this video, I don't want you guys to do what people oftentimes do, hop on it just because that seems to be the wave and the trend. Mm-hmm. There's also, and it's funny enough, because me and our awesome crew here, we were talking about the 48 laws of power. We talked about it I think in relation to Donald Trump or whichever, but the 48 laws of power actually relates to, there's something that relates to what it is that we see right here, right now. And again, pardon me because I don't happen to know which specific law this is, but what I can tell you is there is a particular law that says Guard your reputation with your life, because it matters very, very significantly, right? And in the explanation, right, of said law, it says if you have a strong reputation, and I guess I would imagine, regardless of what one has actually went through and done, if you have a strong reputation, it's very hard for the mud to stick to you whenever said opponents go to throw it on you. The moment that happens, everybody is coming, right? And P. Diddy is definitely a perfect example, in which, by the way, big shout outs to Brian for getting this up. This is what it is. And I'll matter of fact, I'll go through and read it out. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they can happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. Robert Greene. Big shout outs to Robert Greene as well. That is my motivation behind why I'm saying what I'm saying, is because I know that, just even speaking about P. Diddy, I'm pretty certain Nicki Minaj was on live, and Nicki Minaj was interviewing a whole bunch of different folks trying to get, more information out. I know that she was talking with Ray J. Again, don't necessarily know too much of the specifics of what story Ray J ended up sharing, but Ray J did end up coming forth and he ended up sharing, let's just say, he has a story, all right, that would, I guess, only support the amount, I guess, the mounting evidence against P. Diddy. There we go. Ray J addresses Diddy allegations in epic rant during new show debut. All right, which, by the way, big shout outs to the folks that end up providing this particular source. Now that there's holes, we got Ray J coming out, we got Nicki Minaj coming out, even Eminem. Well, let me not say even Eminem, because Eminem, he's very, very powerful. But Eminem, in one of his recent songs, he powerful bar that ended up hitting about P. Diddy. It's very easy to become pawns in someone else's objective, someone else's aim, someone else's whatever it is that they're doing. And in whatever it is that said person is doing, it may not even be because of the fact that they went through and really did it. It may be just because of the fact that, okay, well, listen, I'm trying to become more powerful, or, I'm not to say have more money. I guess for some folks, it would be have more money. But let's just say it would be more advantageous for someone of a P. Diddy stature to not be so powerful, so that I, not me, King Zachariah, but I, whoever may be pulling strings, I can then elevate even a little bit further. Like that's the stuff that folks have got to be, have got to pay attention to. And then once they do pay attention, it's also another thing of caring, because I know that, some folks, it's one of those things where some folks don't know about this, and then it's another thing where some folks just outright don't care. I won't keep talking your head off. I won't keep reiterating the same thing. Please check out this particular article from the Department of Justice. Even as I'm saying this, I need to go through and read more of it. Right, because I, of course, just the general gist, I know about the fact that, it's we're not just talking about allegations from a year ago. No, we're talking about like several different allegations. So that's one. Plus, also, I get the impression that it's not just P. Diddy who's on the hook. There's a number of other different folks, because there's a number of he himself. Let's just say this: he had help in doing all of these things that he's doing. But I myself, I need to go back and read this. So you guys definitely need to make sure that you do so. It's okay to listen to what other people have to say, because there may be other facts, there may be other knowledge that's uncovered through, whether it be a rant, whether it be the news story, it doesn't matter what it is. But please make sure that you keep your eyes and you just be on the lookout, and also research the facts too, just so that, again, it's not one of those things where again, you're strictly upon just following through because, oh snap, my favorite celebrity said this, and if they said this, then shoot, it's got to be true, because a lot of people, they move and operate like that. And then again, for everybody who's operating like that, it opens up the possibility again of, say for instance, some wild miraculous thing where P. Diddy again come to find out he didn't do any of this stuff. He gets off. Folks can apologize, but also at the same time, to some degree, the damage is done. And not to mention, whoever it is that stands to benefit from this happening, oftentimes, man.
Go off, King.
Oh yeah, thank you. So just me speaking off of my thoughts, the people or the entities that stand to benefit from something like this, y'all won't even know that they done benefited up until it's too late, which is by intention. That's all that I'm gonna say. Just be mindful, everybody. Please be mindful. That's what I got to say. We may end up talking a little bit about this come next time because there's been a lot going down, and I would have loved to have talked a little bit more about the actual facts of it, and which we'll revisit some of what we talked about with P. Diddy, but we definitely have to, because in the same way and fashion that P. Diddy, that ended up happening. Now guess what? Now Lil Durk, he's caught up in something, Now I think it's something a little different because this is, we talking about, assault and racketeering. Now this is full on murder. This is a murder attempt. Either way, though, it's something that we're gonna talk about come next time. But all in all, I do want to thank you all so much for the love and support as always. Any bit of time that y'all were able to come through and spend with the King, spend with our lovely, amazing royal crew, that is, we very much appreciate that. Again, the most valuable thing above everything else, whether it be this money, whatever, is time. All right. And it doesn't matter if it's time in the present, time in the future, or time in the past. All of that is very, very valuable. But y'all, of course, y'all make sure that y'all like this video up, or like this podcast episode up. I'll say share, comment, definitely comment, because I want to hear your guys' thoughts and feedback. I was talking a little bit about music. You guys be on the lookout, because even though, listen, our kingdoms, we're still coming up. We're in our season of struggle, but the growth is going to come back, or is going to come, and we're gonna go up. And once we go up, there's gonna be a whole lot of other new stuff that pops off, especially when it comes to music. The most important thing, y'all make sure that y'all stay tuned, stay tapped in, and stay locked in, because the juice over here never stops dripping. I'll catch y'all in the next one. We'll catch y'all in the next one. Let me stop being so selfish. But peace, be easy, and as always, y'all stay blessed up.
Cause you know where it's at. She know what it's at.